you might see somebody leading a group of people, and you might say that's leadership just because they have followers. But I would say, well, why are they following that person? Share an idea that I've been thinking about a lot lately and has me quite excited because it's kind of different. It's the idea that true leaders don't have any followers. So what do I mean by that? Well, there's this video called The First Follower. It's like a TED Talk, and this guy has this video about some crazy guy dancing like in a park, and then all of a sudden some other guy goes up and follows him and starts dancing, and then another person starts dancing, and then all of a sudden the whole park gets up and they're all dancing, and he points out that, like, actually it's not about the leader necessarily, it's about the first follower. Like, that leader was just a crazy guy in the beginning, but it was the first person who followed him that really turned it into a movement, which is kind of a cool idea. But I still think the first person was actually the leader, and the person that followed him, well, he wasn't really a follower. He was also a leader. And the people that followed that person wasn't a follower, they were leaders as well. And so what do I mean by that? Okay, so when I think of what first sparked my thinking around this was somebody said to me, actually, if you want to know whether or not somebody's a leader, like, look around, have them turn around, like, how many people are following them? And then if there's people following them, then they're a leader. And I thought, that makes sense. But then I started to think about, sometimes there's people following somebody and they're following that person even though that's not true for them to follow them. And I've really connected with this idea that leadership is about, like, you living your truth and speaking your truth and being who you are. I've talked a lot about this in this video series. And so if speaking your truth and being your truth is leadership, and sometimes people are following somebody and they're not living their truth, then is that really leadership? So actually, when I say that true leaders have no followers, I'm actually talking about a subset of leadership. Like, you might see somebody leading a group of people, and you might say that's leadership just because they have followers. But I would say, well, why are they following that person? Are they following that person because they really, really want to, and that's their truth, and they're inspired from their heart to act in that way, and therefore they're doing so? Or are they following that person in body and behavior because they're afraid? Maybe they have a boss that they're afraid to lose their job if they don't follow them, or maybe they're following some guru because they're afraid that they're not good enough and they won't be able to figure out the way on their own, and they need some other expert to show them the way, and therefore they're following that person, but they're doing it out of fear and out of fear. And so when I say a true leader has no followers, what I'm saying is that if you're truly leading people, then what you're doing is you're essentially inspiring other people to move and to dance in the world and to act and to speak in the world in a way that their own heart is inspired to dance and move. And that may look like, from the outside, those people are following you, but I would suggest they're not following you. They're actually following a feeling in their heart that something you have done has activated or ignited, but they're following their own truth. And if somebody's following their own truth, that's what I call leadership. That's self-leadership. If you are feeling something resonant within your body and your heart and your soul is true and acting on it, you're acting as a leader. And what happens is when you do that, when you act in that way, Marianne Williamson is one of her famous quotes, "My greatest fear is not that we're inadequate, it's that we're powerful beyond measure." You've heard that before probably, but there's a subset, there's a sentence a few lines down which says, as we are liberated from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others. And I think this is where true leadership lies, is that if you are willing to live directly from your heart and spirit and just act in your own truth, not be inhibited, just be free to act that way, to speak that way, you're being liberated from your own fears. And when you do that, just simply being around other people liberates them as well. They become more fearless. They're more willing to act from their own truth. And then you're leading them. you're not leading them like you have reins on them and you're pulling them somewhere, you're leading them. Now, how does this connect with the more conventional sense of leadership where leaders have followers? Well, here's what happens. When you live from your own truth and spirit, there's music in the world, right? There might be a beat playing, there might be music playing, and your heart might be called to dance to that music, and maybe you'll hold back and you're not being a self-leading person, you're not following your own heart, or maybe you will dance to that music. And if you dance to that music, you're being a leader. And if other people see you dancing to that music, seeing you dance to that music, seeing you be liberated and fearless, may liberate them from their own fears as well. And when they're liberated from their own fears by being in your presence, they start to feel that in their heart, and they start to follow their own heart. And the moment they do, they stand up and they act in that way, and they express in that way. They're being a leader. And as they do that, as they truly lead, you're being a true leader, they therefore create an experience in the world where they create a presence in the world where they start to liberate other people from their own fears. And those people then feel their truth and they're willing to stand up and act and express in that way. And what you have is from the outside it looking like this one person's doing something the other people are following, but actually that first person that went out there and danced crazy was following their own heart. They were, in a sense, an internal follower, and they were on the outside leading because they were acting and going first. And then the second person felt it in their heart, liberated from their own fears through that person's presence. They followed their own heart and they led by going first in their own truth and stepping forward and acting and dancing. And so a true leader doesn't have followers on the outside in the conventional sense. A true leader has leaders. So a leader, you could say, creates leaders and not followers. Or everybody that's a true leader is actually a follower. They're a follower of their own heart, of their own spirit. So if you want to be a true leader, don't be hung up on getting other people to follow you. Be focused on expressing yourself so honestly, so truly, so authentically, so spontaneously, that your presence automatically liberates others to be leaders themselves. And it may look like from the outside they're following you because they may end up dancing to the same music, but they're not following you. They're following their heart, and they're dancing to the same music as you. Much love.
So if you like this video, make sure you subscribe to my channel, click the button, and also share with your friends, share the love, tweet it, Facebook it, Google Plus it, LinkedIn it, whatever you do, get it out there. And of course, if you really want to engage in this idea, down below in the comments, the discussion, the dialogue is where the best insights come. Challenge me, ask me questions, I will get back to you. Your ideas, your comments help me to create more videos. Finally, if you're interested in learning at all about what I do, my personal coaching for leaders, artists, musicians, sole proprietors, anybody who's a creative force in the world and creating their own things, check out my website. Also, if you're a coach and you want to learn more about my apprenticeship or learn more about how I create coaching clients, check out my website, link down below. Much love.